Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of Labby Dragon's Big Fat Pasty tutorial. If you have not seen part 1, you will need to see part 1. We're building upon the skills that we started learning in part 1. So today we're learning to add tassels to our pasties. And the method I like to use is the swivel method because when you put swivels on these, it just gives them a nice rotation to your tassel. You can do this without these swivels. That's perfectly acceptable as well. I just also like that when I use the swivel method, it's easier to make interchangeable tassels. So some of the additional materials you're going to need today, as well as your regular pasty making materials, that's the heat and bond, the buckram, your fabric, all of that. Aside from all of that, you will also need, if you are going to make your own tassel, you will need some embroidery floss. These are like 69 or 99 cents at the craft store, and they come in the most delicious rainbow of colors. So many colors of embroidery floss. So you just need one or two. You could make multicolor tassels, whatever you want. You can also store buy your tassels. You can find in like the home deck section and some of the other like finishing bobs and trims and whatnot sections. You can actually find pre-made tassels, and you can just use those and not have to go through the pain of making your own. But I kind of like making my own. It's I have a lot more freedom over the color, and I get really particular about colors, so that's good for me. And more of the things you're gonna need for the method that I'm doing. I like detachable. My tassels here are detachable because I have what is known, this is actually a crab claw hook. You could also use a lobster claw. These are jewelry findings. So you will be able to find them in the jewelry section if you're a little lost. If you can find an employee in your craft store, because I know a lot of craft stores are sort of understaffed, so eek. But if you can't find an employee, just ask them if they can help you find the little crab or lobster claw things that go on necklaces. Or cannibalize one from a necklace you don't want anymore. Whichever. And then, the only place in town right now I can buy these is Walmart, so you might end up ordering them online. You might decide to go to Walmart. You don't want to go to Walmart, I understand. Half the time I don't want to go to Walmart. This is like the only reason I'll go to Walmart. These are actually in the fishing section, so I would assume you can also find them. Oh, we're gonna get a Bass Pro in my area soon, and I assume I'll start looking at them there. They might even have a wider selection. I don't know. I won't know until they actually open the store. But you find these are actually fishing equipment. But these, they're like barrel swivels. These ones have this big hook thing here. I'm not sure what that's called. Because it's fishing equipment and all I know is put it on a pasty. And you generally want a really small size. You can also get, and I only have these in a huge size because this was for a completely different kind of project, but you would not use this size on pasties, but they do come without the little thing on them sometimes. So you can find them like this as well. And then all that'll stick out is one of these loops instead of the loop and the hook. But you definitely want like basically the smallest size you can find because You can use that, but it's not gonna be friendly on space in the backside of your pasty, and it's not gonna be friendly with staying inside your bra. So the smaller, generally the better. And that should be all of the additional supplies you're gonna need, and that is in addition to everything we used in the first video. All right, I am gonna cut to where we have a partially finished pasty already, instead of going back through all of the steps, because that is what part 1 was for. So if you didn't see part 1 and you didn't listen to me in the front of the video, there will be links possibly there and here, and by there and here I mean in the video. I'm not sure if YouTube still does that. Maybe they do. I'll try that, and also it will be in the description. So there we go. So as you can see, I have my pasties. They are not exactly the same because sometimes that happens. You cut into them, you fold them over, and you realize, these don't look the same. That is the beauty of handmade, in my opinion. But so now we're gonna grab out 2 of our barrel swivels. That's what they look like up close. Try to keep them still long enough to get a good image of them. And here's where I kind of just make stuff up, really. So I'm gonna cut like ever so small of an amount out of the tip of this point on this pasty. Just like the teeniest, tiniest little cut, really. Because you can cut bigger if you didn't cut big enough, but you can't make it smaller again. So err on the side of too small. So as you can hopefully see, I have just like the tiniest hole in the center there, because I honestly have the tiniest little swivels. And then I'm honestly just gonna shove this in pretty much until it fits, and if I need to make more cuts, I will. But you want the ball piece to go in on the back side so that you end up with like that, like from our finished. Sorry about receiving text messages while I'm filming, but there we go. So it's, you want the barrel really queued up like right at the entrance there, because leaving that just free enough to actually get the full rotation is what you're going for here. It's a little bit, I think I keep going off camera with that, I'm sorry. It's a little bit tricky. But you kind of just have to play with it until you get it into a position where you're gonna get the rotation you need. And that's it right there. About. So then you'll want to sort of push this off the inside, the portion of the barrel swivel that's on the inside of your pasty. You're going to kind of push it to the side a little bit, and all the time making sure you're positioning it so you'll have that rotation you need still. That should be right. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm literally just gonna flood this with hot glue, or not. Sorry, I need another stick. There we go. But yeah, I'm just gonna flood this with hot glue so it stays in place. Or moves around on me, you know, whichever. And hopefully I'm getting a fairly decent angle of this. My glue sticks don't like to cooperate when I'm using only one hand. But yeah, just an absolute mass of glue. You can see on my already finished piece here, that huge glob of glue with the little barrel swivel inside of it. I'm gonna kind of grab my pencil over here, try to push this down a little bit while this is starting to dry. So I definitely don't want to touch it with my hands. Because now I have strings of glue coming from my pencil. It's exciting. And I just like to kind of hang on to it until I know it's setting up right. The glue is. This seems like it is well on its way, so I'm gonna set Pastie 1 aside. We're going to start, and we're going to basically do exactly the same thing on Pastie 2. Just the teeniest little opening here at the tip, at the apex of the pasty, if you will. Once again, just super teeny tiny hole going on there. And you can stick it through from the back side as well. You don't have to start from the front. I tend to with these because I don't want to shove that through from the back. So I do it from the front. But that's not 100% necessary. Let's see, I think I made my hole too big on this particular pasty, but we'll see what final verdict on that is when I finish it. So again, barrel's butted up against there. I'm just gonna start gluing that shit down. And this also keeps this from poking into you as you're wearing it, of course. That you don't want either, which is again why you want some of the like smallest barrel swivels you can get. These ones I'm using the actual, I'll tell you the actual size on them as soon as I have a hand to flip over the package, because it is upside down. There we go. I'm just going to start letting that set up. These are actually size 10. If you want to look for this exact size. I believe with fishing stuff, it's that the higher numbers are smaller. So like a 5 would be bigger than a 10, I think. But then they also get into like these huge ones are 2/0. So I don't know. I just visually look at them, but if you're looking online for a size, these are size 10. And I'm sure there are plenty of fishing guides that could also help you identify the sizes compared to each other. But as you can see, this is what a size 10 looks like. It's really tiny. And that is a pretty good start for figuring out what size you need if you decide to order online, which at some point I will probably do myself, order bulk online. But for now, I really like being able to get my craft supplies using what I can get in my area, just because waiting is not my strong suit, and pre-planning is not really my strong suit either. So frequently I go, shit, I need this right now. So I have to go to Walmart. I'm like, I don't have 2 days to order it online. I need it like basically yesterday. So that is fun times sometimes, and that is setting up just fine itself. So we're gonna set those aside, or I'm gonna show them to you first and then we'll set them aside. But this is where we're at right now. This is how they're looking. Got swivels going on. With the actual weight of the tassel, they spin a lot better. With just the little metal bits, they don't spin too well. And we're actually going to move on to making a tassel. Okay, so here we're actually going to make our tassel. I've actually decided to make a tassel a bit longer than the ones on these purple ones I have. These are pretty short. They were all right, but a little bit longer reads better on stage. So I'm actually almost doubling, because this card is actually going to be the length of what I want. You can make a little piece of cardboard or cardstock. You make it about the length you want your tassels to be, your little tassel ends. And we're gonna wrap our string around that. And then also I have these 2 shorter strings that I set aside. Those are actually gonna be what we tie them up with. And then a slightly longer set that's gonna be the set that goes around all of the strings. This piece. I'm sure it has some kind of name. Do I know all the names? No. There we go, that might be a little better. So you're gonna take your little card, you're gonna start wrapping the string around it, holding on to that end there. And we're just gonna wrap, and I'm gonna unravel this as I go, because I'm working from the skein because I want to keep my my number piece with my thread so that I know what color that is when I go to add it to my general collection, which I do have a ginormous general collection because I do cross stitch. We're just gonna go until we have a fullness that we want. I'll try to keep this on camera, but clearly it's a fight. Not the greatest of angles. Let me try to change this angle. Okay, so this angle might be a little bit better for this part of this video. Sometimes that low angle works. Let's see, a little bit thicker, I think. And some people just use the whole hank and cut it in half. That's this is a hank of embroidery floss. Alright. I think that's about what I'm gonna go for today. So I'm gonna actually, that is the end of my other string, so I'm gonna cut off down here so that I have the same bottom. And I'm gonna take my little tying off string and slide it under and up to the top. I'm gonna tie it off once. And then instead of trying to create any kind of loops or whatnot, I'm going to, yes, lick the embroidery floss. Wax is better if, in general, for that kind of thing. But in a pinch, you can just use saliva. Sorry, here. But I'm putting both ends of the thread through the little connector loop on the bottom of my crab claw clasp, and then I'm gonna tie it on. But putting both ends through should help center. Okay, and after I've made that tie, I'm gonna pull this off of the card. But I am actually going to do one more tie because I am going to tie these on the underside of the tassel as well. And embroidery floss does like to come apart at the edges on you because that is what it was designed for. You can use yarns and other strings as well. I think embroidery floss has a really nice sheen to it, is all. I'm actually gonna knot that one more time. And nothing particularly fancy, these are all half hitches, just your regular little knot. I might just leave those ends on the inside of this. They really won't be that noticeable. Then you're going to take one of your longer strands, and you're going to decide kind of where the head of the piece is going to be. So kind of like there. I'm going to take my slightly longer thread that I set aside earlier. Alright. There we go. So you're gonna just tie this on and adjust it and make sure it's where you want it the whole time. Kind of want it like there. I'm gonna tie that tightly. And then you're just gonna wrap it around. To create that little section there. And that's generally to taste. And then tie it a little bit again. So what I have decided to try to do here, which is not what I did with my other tassels here, is if I've even gotten a needle that I can thread with all of this. I'm going to try to thread it and then tuck it back inside. Aha! There. I'm just trying to get that to tuck back underneath itself. I'm gonna try to do the same with the other side. Again, it is really thick for the eye of this needle. But I am managing. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is find the middle of all these loops. Which I maybe should have done when I already had a hold of the middle of all these loops, but there we go. And then we cut. Alright, we're going to cut all these crazy short strings from the knot on the inside there. And just to make these all a little bit more even, I'm just going to cut a little bit off the end here. A little bit of a nicer, crisper edge, hopefully. And that is my tassel. But you can go ahead and take your first tassel and clip it on to your first pasty and have a little excited twirl because you're doing it. And then you can take this on or off when you're decorating, depending on what you feel you need and all of that. I will probably take this off, and so I got a little excited in putting it on to show to you anyway, to be honest. But you can have a little look and go like, look, I'm doing so well, which is something we all need. But keep it close by, because when you are doing your second tassel, you're going to want to reference it to make sure you're getting about the same thickness and look. And as you can see, I've used almost this entire hank of embroidery floss, but they are very, very cheap. So it's not a big loss. Plus, I gained some tassels. And I'm gonna just compare this to the other one here, because I did cut a little bit off to help even things out. So I'd like to do about the same amount on this one. If they're not perfectly even, no one will notice, to be honest. It's kind of my motto. If nobody's gonna notice it, fuck it. And then, second tassel is all done. And you've got Two little tassel pasties, yay! So, that is pretty much how you make tasseled pasties. I am going to continue on because I am going to glitter the edges of these. So I'm actually, I am going to show you that process of how I achieved this raised glitter rim on these as an additional step for these. But that right there is how you add the tassels, and because what we've made here are exchangeable. If your tassels ever get like nasty and gross, you just switch them out, or if you just want to go with a different color scheme one day, like this purple actually looks pretty nice with this blue. I could put blue tassels on my purple pasties. So, it's a heck of a camera angle, sorry. Much like that. So it really just creates some versatility so that you can reuse pasties and not even have them be exactly the same, or I could make some kind of charm and put it on my little clip. Make a little charm, like I make like a little shrinky-dink card or whatever because it's a magician act or some kind of thing. You could do that as well. But right now I am going to take the tassels off and leave them to the side because, as I said, I am also going to show you how I achieved my sparkle edge. So for this technique I have my hot glue gun all plugged in and heated up and ready to go. I have this piece of paper sort of folded up into a bit of a bowl shape. Paper plates are a lot better for this just because they kind of help contain the mess. And I have my glitter, which I'm going to need to pop the plastic off of, I just realized. I didn't already do that. Because I actually went out and bought this glitter specifically for these pasties. So, alright, now that my glitter is open. So we're going to use the hot glue to just create a ridge. And then cover it in the glitter, and we'll have this nice ridged ring of glitter. We're gonna get my stupid glue gun lined up right and just follow the edge and do just a little section at a time so that then you can dump glitter all over it. Possibly way too much glitter. But that is why you need something laid down. You have to just try to make as even a line of glue as you can manage. I'm not managing 100% here, but... Alright, that's not working. I thought, oh, I'll just use some of the excess that's already... No, that doesn't work. I probably knew that, and still tried to do it. some of that excess over to the side there. You'll have a couple little strings of glue here and there, as you do with hot glue. And I like to also keep, I keep a tiny miniature funnel around. Tiny miniature is a little bit redundant to say, but yes, I keep a very small funnel around to funnel my glitter back into my stuff, the containers that hold the glitter. Jeez, words much today, Labby? Alright, we're just going to tap all the excess glitter off. I'm going to show you here. As you can see, mine is not perfect. Imperfections are awesome. Or that's what I tell myself anyway. So I'm going to set that aside, because when we are done with the second one, we are going to seal that glitter in with some glossy Mod Podge. And you have to use the glossy when you're using glitter, because the matte will actually dull out the shine. Alright, I'm going to try to use this paper as a funnel, and we'll see how well that works out for me. Alright. And there we have pasty number 2. So I'll cut back and we'll seal that in with Mod Podge so that the glitter does not flake off. Just one additional tip, Lysol wipes actually really good at getting glitter off of like smooth surfaces. Just something I found out pretty much just right now, because I thought to do it. Okay, so we have our glossy Mod Podge. I'm really bad at aiming that at the camera, apparently. And as I said earlier, you want the gloss specifically because it will keep the shine of your glitter, which is the entire reason for using this Scourge on Humanity. And when I'm going to be tamping Mod Podge onto glitter, I like to use little cosmetic sponges. You can usually get them at like the discount stores and stuff in like huge bags for pretty cheap. And then you can squirt way too much Mod Podge onto them. And this is absolutely more of a tamping motion. Just sort of pressing Mod Podge down onto it. Because if you sort of try to like stroke it, you'll start pulling glitter off. And it's okay if it gets on the fabric too, because this does dry absolutely clear. So it will be fine. And this is absolutely the best way to keep glittered pasties from shedding glitter everywhere every time you wear them. And usually I would do this with like a paper plate. I just don't have any right now, or else I would have been using it in the last segment as well. And just squeezing the Mod Podge onto the plate and then dipping the sponge into it, so I don't have to do this weird, carefully trying to squeeze out only as much Mod Podge as I want. But we all just make do from time to time. I set out to make these videos, didn't realize I didn't have paper plates, and just went, nope. Gonna do it anyway, because this is the time in which I have to do it. Alright. And these are gonna dry perfectly clear and relatively flake-free. It's not that there will never be glitter coming off of it. It's just that it will be almost never, and it will be glorious. Trust me. You want to do this. Unless you just want to have glitter all over whatever other pasties you have, all over inside the bra you're wearing. Every single time. Alright. And when those dry, I will reattach the tassels, and I will show you the final product. So here I am with my final product. The nice glitter ridges and big long tassels to twirl. As far as tutorials on actually twirling your tassels, there are videos from folks much more seasoned at it and better at it than me, that are out there, because the best I got is I jump up and down and they twirl. And that's a really good basic way to do it. There's some tips and tricks to doing it much more impressively, that just are outside of my skill range, so I'm not gonna try to teach you how to do them. So that is it for tasseled pasties. Now you can add tassels to any pasty at all. Just a little snip off the apex there and glue that junk in and you're good to go. So in the next video, part 3 of this series, we're actually gonna go on into drafting patterns for and making fun shapes, like any shape that's not a circle, like squares or shells, anything you want to do. I'm going to show you the technique to do. It's a technique that will allow you to do anything you want. So I'm going to give you the tools for that in the next part here. So bye guys!